A big slide through turn 2.
The layout is exactly as it was all those years ago.
But he's going to pop out of line here, Greg. Side by side into West Bend.
Well, boy, look at this. Thompson looking to the inside. Is he going to straight line to the apex? I think he's got it. And that back end swings around.
Here comes Eibach.
Here comes Eibach in the dirt.
We talk about classic road racing circuits. This one is top of the list. Oh, Lime Rock's coming up. Circuit Legends is next week, everybody. Welcome back to the drivers meeting. My music, I was wondering where it went. Apollo's here. Apollo's stoked. We've got a couple great guests on tonight. We're going to kick things off pretty quick here with Chris DeLucia from GRIDLIFE GT. And he's got a very interesting story that we're going to get into here in just a couple minutes' time. So he's already joined us because he's got to move a race car around. So let's bring him in and chat with him. See if we can chat with Chris. Hey, Chris, you have me?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you just yet. There you are. Now I can see you.
No.
All
You're
right,
there?
man. Yeah. How's it going, man?
Good. Obviously in the garage.
Yeah.
Car.
I was gonna say you told me that you had to move the car tonight, and we'll get into what's going on in a second. But give us the rundown on why it looks like that and a little different than we saw at Midwest a little while ago.
Yeah, so I was racing with another club. I was racing with NASA, and it's funny. I was like, oh, this is going to be a great, like, quote-unquote practice session at Lime Rock. This was 2 weeks ago for Circuit Legends, and I was there for the weekend. Did well, did P2 on the Friday race, and then Saturday went out, and it was like 90-something degrees. Very, very hot conditions. Tires were super greasy. I ended up tagging the curb on turn 4 at Lime Rock. And if everybody knows Lime Rock, you stay away from the curbing at Lime Rock. So I tapped the curb on turn 4, upset the car like crazy, started sliding out. I tried to recover, just ran out of real estate, ended up in the grass, and ended up ultimately backing the car into the wall at like, I looked at the data, I think I hit it like 57 miles an hour backwards. So it really tore up the car pretty bad. I mean, realistically, from the back wheels back was completely done. And yeah,
you sent me some pictures. I was going to pull them up here in a minute, but it was a pretty extensive impact. And I don't know a lot about BMWs, but I know if my car looked like that, there would be a lot to fix. So how much of it was just bodywork and how much of it was more than that?
Well, it's funny because I wrench on my own car. I mean, I do pretty much all the mechanical work on my car myself. But as far as body work goes, I have never done anything that has to do with body work whatsoever. So this isn't actually my garage. I am at one of my good friend Nick's. He's an amazing fabricator, and he's actually never done a back half of the car like that. But he's super talented. He was like, yeah, bring it over. We could totally figure it out. He kind of dropped everything that he was doing. He was in the middle of doing a cage in another friend of mine's car. And yeah, so I ended up just grabbing a donor car. I was making, as soon as the crash happened, I made a post on Facebook in one of the E36 groups and saying like, hey, I'm looking for a donor car. And there was a guy nice enough to message me and say like, hey, I had some title issues like 10 years ago with this one car, and I ended up parting it out, and I've just been literally, I couldn't scrap it. He's like, I've been waiting for an excuse to give it to someone that'll use it. So I went down to Pennsylvania, grabbed the car, and we brought it up here to my buddy Nick's house and pretty much cut from the back wheels back. We cut the car right off. So it's quarter panels, trunk. I mean, the whole trunk well, back bumper, everything from the back wheels we cut off, as you can see from the pictures.
Yeah, and I'm sharing. I've stopped sharing with you, but I am sharing the video of them pulling the donor car out of the woods there, which is spectacular. I can't wait to talk about this on the broadcast next week. But let's back things up a little bit because GRIDLIFE GT is a new class for us this year, and you kind of shot onto the scene immediately in the first round ever at Midwest Festival with this car that already looked like it was kind of in the mix. So let's back up. Who are you as a human? Where did you start racing? And let's make our way up to current day from there.
Yeah, so my name's obviously Chris DeLucia. I have been doing track stuff for about 6 years now. I'm new to the wheel-to-wheel space. I actually just got my competition license at the beginning of this year. So wheel to wheel is fairly new to me. When I came to Midwest Fest, I think I had 2 weekend races under my belt. And this was the third. So I've always wanted to get into wheel to wheel stuff. I instructed with a lot of local car groups, and kind of, after 6 years of doing track days, was kind of the next step. And then obviously once you start doing this, it's like a drug. I'm absolutely hooked.
Yeah, so I guess what was the decision for GRIDLIFE GT? And it was a brand new category at Midwest. You were in the first ever race. So I'm curious, like a new class comes on, there's a lot of different places to run cars in North America for a lot of different reasons, but a new class that you hadn't really seen happen yet, was that part of the excitement for you, or was it just trying something new?
Yeah, well, it was also to be, great to get in there in the beginning. I've been following GRIDLIFE for many, many years. Big fan of the GLTC class, super competitive, awesome racing, great to watch. So I was kind of but again, my car, the power it made and the weight that it was at, it would have been very tough to choke the car up enough to get it into that class. And that's why I was literally wanting to go racing this year. And I looked at, you guys announced the GLGT class and, 8.9 weight to power ratio. And I'm like, my car is going to come, it's very close. And I'm like, it's going to be so much easier to get my car into this class. And it being new, it was exciting. And like I said, I love what you guys do with GRIDLIFE. And I knew how competitive the TC class was. So I was like, I'm really looking forward to the GT class, getting there. And then we're getting there. It's the amount of cars that are showing up in the beginning, it was a little bit slower, but a lot of builds are happening in the background. I'm hearing talk of, so I'm sure this class is going to grow to something just like TC.
Yeah, I hope so. And we made this point a couple of times that we announced the rule set sort of midwinter, which is sort of late for a lot of people to divert their programs that they were already building for. And then the other thing is ours that make 200 horsepower are a little easier to build and maintain than ones that are making 300 or 400 or 500, right? So I think we've seen a lot of mechanicals, even though the entries have been still not crazy high, but we'll get there, as to your point. So really stoked about that, and stoked to have you be a part of it.
Absolutely.
And this is sort of a local event for you, sort of. Next week at Circuit Legends.
I'm in Albany, New York. So it's about an hour, 40 minutes. It's the closest event that I've been to so far. So it's pretty local track.
Is Lime Rock, you mentioned that the accident happened there, but is that a track that you've had a ton of laps at? I know you're new to wheel, but just in driving in general. Is it
so believe it or not, I've been to Lime Rock, I think 5 times. So that was my 5th time there. And I hadn't been there in almost 3 years. The first time here with this car. I have another E36 with an S52, a little bit less horsepower, about 250, and on street tires, no aero. I was there, probably about 3 years ago. So this is definitely a very different car. But yeah, it's a great track. It's a great track. It's very, very fast, obviously very iconic, and it's but you can learn really quickly that it bites pretty hard.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me a little bit more specifically about that car and what's done to it. Specifically, it looks simple, but again, can be very deceiving.
Yeah, it's actually a 1993 325 IS. It's actually not even an M3, but it has the S54 swap, which comes out of like the 2002, 2003, 2004 M3. So it's an inline 6-cylinder, makes about 300 and something wheel, low 300s, depending on what dyno you're on. Obviously, I spec'd the car out. I had the car tuned earlier this season. It made 331 wheel horsepower. And then I've heard of, GRIDLIFE's dyno being quite the heartbreaker, and I experienced that myself. I put the car in the dyno and made 306. So at 306, the car is quite a bit underweight, or overweight. I'm about 250 pounds overweight for what I could be at the 306 wheel horsepower, with all the, the adders, no flat underbody and a couple other things, undersized tires, things like that. But yeah, it makes 306 on GRIDLIFE's dyno. It weighs about 2,800 pounds, 2,850. Stock ZF 5-speed, twin disc clutch. It's got, an LSD in it and a little bit of aero. I'm really looking to upgrade the aero because I just have like some basic birch cutout splitter, and the wing on it's not the greatest, but that's going to be over the winter, and I'm plan to do some more work and get the car a little bit more spec'd out for the class for next year. But it's funny, a lot of these guys got on the dyno that are in the class, and they also made less power, but conveniently enough, a lot of these cars, one of my competitors, are boosted. So when you have a turbo setup, you just turn the boost up a little bit. with my, naturally aspirated 6-cylinder, it's a little bit harder to make some more power. So I kind of can't really do anything rather than like break the motor down, do some cams, do some other tuning, stuff like that. So I've been just working on trying to take as much weight out of the car as I could. Just did a battery, obviously cut the spare tire well out of this thing. We didn't put that back in there. So I'm excited to get back on the scales and see how much weight the car actually lost over this project.
I was gonna say 2,800 pounds feels light for that chassis. Is that typical?
Yeah, it's a lot of people get with driver and I'm at around 2,700. So the car could still lose about 100 pounds, and if it did, that's really where for next year my goal is to make another 20 wheel horsepower and lose maybe about 50 pounds. Then I'll be spec'd pretty nicely for the class.
Gotcha. It seems like, and I've been around Grid Life now for 6-7 years, been employed here since 2020. The wheel-to-wheel series in Grid Life are sort of equal parts, driver idea and creation and driver driving, right? So there's some people that are like, I just want to drive the car. I don't really care what it is. I care about the competition. And there's some that are like, I just want to build the car. I don't care about driving it. And GLTC seems like somewhere in the middle, and GLGT is sort of that with a little bit more power. Where on the scale do you fall as far as like finding things to improve and driving the car?
Well, it's funny. It feels like, 99.9% of the time is spent working on the car. Right. And then that 0.1% is driving. I obviously absolutely love racing, and I am a gearhead. Again, like I said, I do all the work myself. So I do enjoy that. You do get fulfillment out of working on the car, building the car. It's something to look forward to. It's something that keeps me very busy. This is like more than a full-time job. It feels like, especially, first year of racing, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but yeah, I love it all. I love racing, and I love building the car just as much. And what's cool is, like, obviously, you don't have to be at the track to be working on your car. So, it takes up a lot of my time, but I do enjoy it.
You mentioned that you'd kind of been a fan of the Eibach GLTC stuff for a little while. Was there anybody in particular that you followed or sort of emulated in terms of your build when you came over to GLGT, or was it just sort of like, this is cool, I just want to be a part of it somehow?
So being a BMW guy, I looked at lots of like videos and I kind of refreshed myself, or especially tracks I haven't been to. I'll look for videos on YouTube of the tracks to kind of get a layout and kind of understand what I'm doing. And I did come around Eric Magnussen's videos, and loved following him. Obviously a great driver. He's fairly new to the space, but doing very well in TC. And then Eric Cattell. I'm actually an old Honda boy. So I started back in the day doing turbo Hondas. I had a 750 wheel horsepower Civic. I was a big drag racing guy before I got into the road racing stuff. But yeah, I'm a Honda boy at heart. That's where I kind of got my start. And so like seeing Eric Cattell do as well, and seeing his car, which is it's just an amazing Civic. It's crazy. The stuff that he has done to that, and how well it's doing, especially when he's got tons of Corvettes in that class. And it's funny, we talk about the Corvettes, and it seems like GT is starting to get more and more of them as well.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see even more in the future, eventually.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to meet or talk to Chris Boersma at all at Midwest Fest?
I did not.
So he runs a track mod Honda Civic, but I think he started in motorsports kind of the same way that you did, with like turbocharged Hondas and running drag racing with them. So I think you guys would kind of share that. It'd be interesting he should be at Lime Rock. He's a Canadian guy, so
yeah.
But that'd be kind of interesting. Yeah, not that far for sure. Probably farther than we all think. I'm originally from Rochester, by the way, too. So both New York
really?
Guys. Yeah.
That's cool.
I get to pass through home now that I live in Chicago, so that's
nice.
Good stuff. All right, so tell me about again, it looks a little patchwork right now because you just bolted a rear end of a new car back on it.
Yeah.
Do you have any livery ideas, or because you had something on it at Midwest? Is there a goal for it that you're working towards, or is that sort of the final boss version?
Yeah, a livery would be great. It's not something that's going to be in the works. I'm literally,
sure.
I have probably 2 weeks worth of work to do in the next week.
Yep.
As far as there's a lot of other things. Believe it or not, I'm not just trying to get the car back together. I'm trying to improve it.
Yep.
I'm doing different diff. I'm going from like a 391 to a 410. I'm upgrading the trailing arms in it, which it has the stock 325 ones. I'm going to M3, so I'm going to do monoballs and changing all the bushings and stuff like that. I'm hopefully maybe trying to get a new splitter on the front of the car. So Yeah, livery would be cool. I'm actually just gonna probably try to make the car look exactly like it was for now. Paint the back half of the car, and then I just have like a white stripe that's gonna go across the back for now. But again, that winter, that'd be a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, those are the most dangerous words in motorsports, right? While we're in there, that sort of thing. While the car's apart, I might as well do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've been waiting to pull the trigger on an anti-gravity battery. And I did the battery box and got all smashed up in the crash. And I'm like, well, the battery's out, so I might as well get this battery, a new battery box that weighs 30 pounds less. So,
right.
Yeah, just another one of the upgrades.
So again, relatively new to racing. This is, you're new to wheel in general. What tracks, again, being Northeast focused, a lot of the drivers in Grid Life are sort of Midwest or, kind of out in the middle of the country somewhere. Lime Rock, Watkins Glen, are these tracks that you've been to?
Watkins Glen's like one of my favorite tracks, and I was following you guys obviously last year, and I saw you went to Watkins Glen. Really, you guys had some terrible weather, but I was kind of disappointed this year to see that you weren't going back to Watkins Glen. I would love to get that back on the map. I mean, Watkins Glen is an amazing track, and what was the other one?
Pit race?
VIR. I mean, VIR would be great.
Sure.
We could go to. I mean, I absolutely love VIR, and again, it wasn't on the schedule, but Lime Rock's a great track as well for the Northeast.
What's the one in Massachusetts? Is it Palmer?
Palmer. Yeah. Very familiar with Palmer. I instruct there all the time, so yeah, I think I have the most laps at Palmer out of any track.
Gotcha. It's so interesting to me, like the different tracks that people have in the region. We don't really spend a ton of time in the Northeast. I know we had NJMP on there previously as well. But yeah, really, we just touched Lime Rock, and Pit Race is sort of Northeast, but that's
I've
almost
actually never been. Yeah, I've never been to Pit Race, but I hear a lot of good things about it. Everybody says they love it. Like I said, Palmer's great. Tons of elevation change there. I think it's a very underrated track. And then Jersey's a ton of fun. Jersey's a great track. So, really like Thunderbolt.
Going back to Midwest Fest, Hans Horpenal jumps in the chat here. He goes, Chris, why do you drift so much? And this is race 4 in GridLife GT. What's going on here, Chris?
Yeah, so this was race 4. I was in second place for the whole race until the last 2 laps. As you can see, I think you guys called this a drift missile at this point. But in the car, I actually didn't know what was going on. I was like, man, this is like really, really, really loose in the rear, but I didn't hear anything. And obviously I couldn't see that at this time the passenger side rear camber arm had broken. So the wheel is literally just flopping all the way in, negative, 10 degrees of camber. And then I take a left-hand turn, and it's going probably positive 15 degrees of camber. As you can see, check the rear wheel out here. So I'm sure everybody that was on the live stream and you guys talking about it was like, oh my God, this wheel is going to fall off. Luckily, it wasn't going to fall off. It was still held on pretty well. It's just the adjustment of camber was just along for the ride. That camber arm broke. I think I might have dropped the wheel on turn 5 or 6, and it must have broke. But like I said, I just thought, man, this car has gotten really, really hard to drive. I mean, I had a lot of drifting issues to begin with, but it was so loose. And then you can see, I think it's this lap, I finally lose it here, end up in the grass where James ends up passing me. But it wasn't until then that the camber arm actually completely fell down and was dragging on the ground. That's when I heard something was wrong. But at that point, I had like a half lap left, and I was like, hey, I'm still in 4th place now. I mean, I think I could limp it for another. I just kind of went slow. I'm like, I think I could finish the race and try to get 4th. So that's exactly what I did.
How's that tire after that couple laps?
It's the tire's actually on the inside. That's where I went off right there, and James went by. Then I ended up just limping it to finish after that. But yeah, the inside of the tire was rubbing on the trailing arm. So, I'm glad it was only a lap and a half that it was like that, because it eventually would have worn through, but it was pretty tore up. Yeah,
and very interesting. What tires are you running on in category?
This is, I have a 285, which a Falcon RT 660 Plus.
Gotcha.
The first time I ever ran the tires was at Midwest Fest. First time ever putting the car on street tires was at Midwest Fest. So like a lot of other people in the class, the big learning curve. The car was set up for slicks, super, tight springs. I was doing everything I could. Eric Magnuson actually let me borrow a set of softer springs to put in the rear of the car. I was disconnecting the sway bar. I was doing everything I could to get the car to bite on street tires, and ever since then, I've been working on trying to get it to handle a little better.
So, and Midwest was your first Grid Life ever? You had never been to one, even as a spectator?
No. I've seen videos, but I've never been to an event, and honestly, it kind of blew my mind. I mean, nobody does it like you guys do. It's between the event, the live music, the live stream, the people are there, just the food, everything is just, it's insane.
I was just gonna ask that, like that feet first, all in. Day one is the Grid Life Midwest Festival.
Yeah.
So there, I guess from a new driver's perspective, I'm curious about your feedback of just the intensity of like your first event and having all this stuff going on, because it's not track day, right? Like there's a lot going on. So was that a lot to keep track of, or were you able to kind of just focus on your sessions and it was just fine?
No, I got to give you guys, give Grid like credit. The schedule was awesome. I mean, I really like how it was set up. I felt like I wasn't like rushed in anything. You had some downtime in between the races, which was great because my car was constantly braking. I don't even we talked about that, but in qualifying, I ripped the splitter off.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, we were working on that. I was going to the hardware store and cutting a piece of birch out and welding up supports through the night. And, it was always something. So like, I was pretty overwhelmed with the amount of people that were there and how intense it kind of was. But it was great. I mean, it was a really good event. You guys put together an amazing event. And like I said, the schedule was really easy on the driver. You had some downtime. It's funny because a lot of times people complain, they're like, oh, we only get so much track time. And I'm like, at this point in my wheel-to-wheel career, I definitely need that downtime to work on the car, figure it out. So it was great.
Yeah. Also, it feels like every time, like we've, I guess this was an example at Road America recently. We ended up being able to condense the time attack groups into 3 groups instead of 4. So the sessions were like 6 to 7 minutes longer per group, and the track was like empty. I mean, time attack's a different sport. I get it, but like, you guys break all your stuff in the first couple minutes. Like, you don't need more time, right? Yeah. But
it's funny. It's like same thing with the drift guys. It was Sunday at Midwest Fest, and you're like, there was like 2 or 3 cars on the track. It was like, pretty much open track. Everyone else broke their stuff.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's one of those things. It's like the idea of having more track time is great, but there's definitely a balance of like what the optimal amount is, where you still got everyone utilizing it, and the drivers feel like they get enough. So that's a whole topic for a different time. But Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that it's something about the race times, like having 15-minute races, coming from NASA, which was like 25. I did think like, oh, this is a pretty short race, but honestly, in 15 minutes, you figure out, what you have to. I think it's definitely enough time to, have the right driver get out in front and really show the result that's supposed to happen.
Gotcha. And I know that it was a thrash to get this car back together for Circuit Legends, but what's left on the calendar for you? You planning on doing anything else, or Lime Rock and taking some time to rebuild?
Well, yeah, I'm going to try to see how Lime Rock goes. I'm going to try to get to Autobahn and then Pitt. I think that's the only, 2 that I'm probably going to make. I don't think I'm going to make the trip from Albany. I think it's 40-something hours one way to go to Laguna. Although I love Laguna. I did actually make that trip with a friend of mine a few years ago. We grabbed an open trailer and drove from Albany out to California and did Laguna. So the track's amazing. I really wish I was closer. It just kind of, I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah. I just noticed this. Is there a rabbit behind you?
There is. That's Dave.
Dave the rabbit.
Yeah, Dave's just chilling. He used to roam around, but he used to eat too many wires in the car, so we had to build him a little home and put him behind a little fence. But yeah, he's our little mascot. That's
amazing. I got a mascot too. Rabbit's a unique one. That's good. I don't want to keep it for too much longer, but I'm starting to ask this question because I think it's worth using this platform to ask this question. As a new driver to Grid Life, I'd like to hear one thing from you. I mean, you've already sort of talked about it a little bit, but one thing that you think Grid Life is doing really, really well, and one thing that you'd like to see done better.
It's a hard question. Okay.
I'm glad it's hard. It should be hard. I hope if it's too easy, then we got work to do.
But you guys are doing very well, I would say, is the live stream, and then also the introduction of like fire laps and showing live data throughout the race. That was really cool to see at Road America, see minimum speeds, stuff like that, and have updated times throughout the race. Because you go around and it takes a full lap for stuff to change and see what place people are in. It's really cool to see that live. And then what you guys could work on, maybe I mean, this is just a very small thing, but I had no idea about the practice at Mid-Ohio. I thought maybe just giving us a heads up. I could see there was something in there for Lime Rock about the practice. I did ask about it in one of our groups, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, I guess it's a good thing that I don't really think off the top of my head. I don't have something to complain about immediately that you guys need to do better, but I could definitely think about it, get back to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure. I think one of the things, this is just something I was thinking about the other day, as I was listening to a podcast, Perfect Lap podcast, which Dewey's in the chat here, so he'll know who I'm talking about. That there's Kilgore and Yeager over there on Spotify. They were going through the Road America results, and they're like, man, like the results are hard to read. And I built this whole thing, and I'll show you because,
yeah,
talking about. So I built this whole thing for showing results. Now, GLGT's got some issues. For now, you can go and you can filter out results. It'll show you podium sprint or specific heat. I was trying to figure out what they meant by the results were hard to read. But what they meant was that podium sprints here, there's your winners. But if you were looking for who finished 6th, good luck, because there isn't an overall here.
Oh.
So I need to basically make a screen that shows podium sprint results and then 6th on down for everybody else based on their best lap. So like little stuff like that, just understanding who won. Because before we just had Google Sheets, like you just get a sheet like this, like this, and that would be what you'd look at. But that's ugly. So we're trying to fix
Does the wheel-to-wheel stuff show the fastest laps and how far back you finished?
So qualifying shows this right now, and I'm still working on this, but now it shows fastest lap and your gap to the lead.
Yeah, I like to see that.
Then I'm going to wrap point standings in here. Then I have my competitor list linked, so you can go in here. I don't have GLGT up to this yet, but pulls up some stats and kind of like a spotter's guide sort of.
Yeah,
But yeah, so these are like the little things this year I've been working on to try to make the experience a little bit better for the drivers and for people that are trying to interact with it. So.
Really cool. Really, really cool. I mean, you guys, like I said, introducing fire laps and having live data during. Have you guys thought about any sort of live in-car video?
Yeah, so actually I was just having a conversation today with Sasha Anise, who runs that crazy 350Z Unlimited car. You won't be at Lime Rock, but they were testing Starlink, like the mini Starlink-based streaming solution. And generally, onboard video is like really hard to do to get like very small latency. So like there's all sorts of onboard video that can stream, but it's like 5 to 10 seconds delayed, which is really super usable when you're trying to like put it into a stream that's otherwise very live. So the Starlink systems I've seen used, I did the Pikes Peak Hill Climb this year, and that broadcast team used a mini Starlink very successfully. So we won't necessarily get a chance to explore it soon. That's kind of the route that we're looking at. All the old-fashioned systems that use radio frequency stuff is like crazy expensive, like thousands of dollars per weekend to run and operate and to set up. So the other cool thing I learned was that like back in the runoffs days when they did like the SCCA runoffs, they had onboard cameras on ESPN. They would run like all the analog stuff as like a loop of copper that goes around the whole track to like pick up the signal. Isn't that wild?
Wow. Okay.
That's wild. So yeah, it's hard. It's one thing that we're working on as always, but it's super to kind of see where we're going. We've got some. You mentioned the fire lap stuff. That was actually one of my projects today. Was it was working, but like it stopped after a certain number of laps of the weekend because I like the way the data works. It's like paginated, so there's like more pages of stuff I wasn't reading. But like I got that all sorted out now, so I can look at a specific lap from a specific session and get on.
Well, that's on the list of things to put in my car.
Great. That's I'm excited for it. So, Chris, thanks so much for your time, man, and enjoy the rest of your night and getting that thing looking good for Lime Rock next week. We'll see you there.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya. All right, Chris DeLucia. That was a cool check-in with a guy that is running in our GRIDLIFE GT series with his BMW 3 Series. My cat is driving me nuts. Knocked my mouse off the desk. Dewey, we got another guest coming here in a couple minutes, Brian Santiago from Eibach GLTC. Dewey, best of weekend. So I'm just going to show you this because I had this thought post Perfect Lap podcast. So if you go to Time Attack, pick Road America, or actually, this Mid-Ohio. So you can see here, like I have overall, which will give you the best of the weekend, but I don't actually... Like I want this. I just forgot to put the overall sheet in Road America. But what I really want, Gingerman has this. The Gingerman has overall and it has podium sprint. But what I really want is one that's called event results that shows the podium sprint top 5 and then shows everyone else's best time of the week. And then maybe next to time for the podium sprint, we'll say best ever. But I need to have a that shows not only the podium sprint, because that's how the positions are done, but also the best lap alongside it. So it's the podium sprint format. We haven't really thought about this because I don't think we've really put a spotlight that much on how we view results. I'm trying to solve that as best we can, because right now we don't really have a great way to do it. So and the visualization looks really good. I'm happy with how it feels, but overall and podium sprint need to kind of be merged together, because overall is useful if you only care about lap time, and the podium sprint is useful if all you care about is the podium, but actually everyone cares about both. Dare to Dream says, can you give us a quick tutorial to find that page? I absolutely. So let's go to grid.life, and we're going to go up to Motorsports, then click Event Results. There. And I haven't replaced yet, because if you go to the individual series pages, you can still get to these old records or old results pages. I've left these here, not to be confusing, but because I want to make sure that everything works correctly on the new stuff. So Motorsports, Event Results. Dewey says it's almost perfect. I mean, we're not done yet. I got it to a point where it is functional, but I need to get it complete. So anyway, Brian Santiago's here. Let's pull him in. Let's chat. Hey, Brian.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Doing good.
Well, welcome to the GRIDLIFE drivers meeting, and I brought you in because last week you were watching, and and you're like, hey, I'd love to get on this, and I was like, let's do it. I lost your video here a little bit. I'm not sure if it's your internet or whatnot, but that's okay. I want to talk to you about everything Eibach GLTC. I want to talk about where you come from, what your racing experience is, your build. It's really unique in Eibach GLTC, but let's start with you. Who are you? Where do you come from? And where'd you get your experience?
Sure thing. Basically, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I've been working over there. I've born and raised. Got out of college. Got a job over there. Was working in IT. Within that, 2017, a hurricane hit Puerto Rico. Left the power grid basically on very poor state. Working in IT means that no power grid means you can't build your clients, you can't work, you cannot make money, right? So from there, we decided to move to the States. So 2017, moved to the States, moved to Maryland. Within Maryland, I managed to find a job real quickly. Within the same year I moved in, I bought my Ford Focus ST. It was my daily driver to go to work. And with that, I basically started thinking, okay, so I want to do something with this. I want to go to autocross. So being in the Maryland field, SCCA was around, was very popular. They were doing autocross at the FedEx field. So I started doing it by that, just going to autocross. And from there, one thing led to another. Okay, so now being an autocross, it's cool, but it's short. I want more speed. I want more time at the track. Basically, that led me to start going to Summit Point Raceway, to VIR, to Dominion Raceway, and this different tracks, and all of that still with the stock Ford Focus ST. And even though it's stock, it's something that I found that the car drives phenomenal at the track. It turns, whatever you ask of it, even though it's completely stock, even though it's underpowered compared to other cars with the same setup, like 2.0 turbo. Everybody nowadays comes with almost 300 horsepower. The Ford Focus comes with only 250-ish something. So it's underpowered, but for what the underpowered car is, it drives amazing at the track. People were actually the same way, like you said, like it's a different car. People don't see a Ford Focus, a five-door hatch family sedan, you could say, at the track, and it does cut the interest of everybody. That every time I went to the track or went to a event.
Yeah, certainly, and you mentioned the Ford Focus ST. I think I grew up. So my best friend as a kid was a dude. I always loved the GT86 FRS BRZ, whatever. When we were playing like Gran Turismo or whatever, he would like buy a Ford Focus ST and I'd buy my GT86. We'd race each other. And I was always jealous that he always had more power than me. But besides the point, it's a really interesting car because I don't think you see them wheel to wheel a lot. I don't really think you see them at the track a lot in general. So, moving it over to Eibach GLTC, what are the things that you've done to make it run in this? Because we haven't seen it quite up at the extreme pointy end, but like it's running in the field in it pretty well. So take me through what you've done to bring this car up to Eibach GLTC.
So one of the things, as I was trying out different tracks for the first time in 2017, 2018, was that pushing the small turbo it has tends to make the car overheat, and cooling becomes a big thing for these cars once you start pushing that turbo to the max efficiency. Knowing that, and about 2 years ago, going into HPD with you guys at CMP, it's the first time that I saw GLTC, and it's the first time that I heard about GLTC at that point. And I saw how you guys were power to weight ratio. I started making some calculations. Like, oh wait, all I gotta do is actually detune the car. So that with that comes a little bit of you could say a breather for me to not run that turbo as high efficiently and not create that heat, not create that high temperatures for it. So that led me to just go to a detuned version of the car. And ever since that one HPD at CMP with you guys, I said, this is what I want to do. And I definitely, throughout that year, I stopped racing. I started saving money. I went and, found somebody that was willing to work on the Focus SD and create a cage for it. That was so hard. Not many people wanted to do it. Not many people know about the car, and they started like, oh wait, I've never dealt with it. I've dealt with Corvettes. I dealt with Civics. I don't know much about Focus. I don't want to deal with that. So that was a whole another adventure I had to go through, and it was fun. So basically, talking about the build of the car, I am running a budget build, you could say. I'm running front coilovers with the rear being springs and adjustable chocks. I for cooling purposes, now knowing that my targeted goal is going to be under what the car came with from factory, I just decided to put intercooler, radiator, stuff that you normally see on any other car that's out at the track, whether it's GLTC or not. Radiators the number one thing, and they normally do a triple pass radiator, a bigger intercooler to handle that the boost and the temperature. So basically, that's the first step that I started with: cage, radiator, and intercooler, and a tune.
Gotcha. So I guess I have two questions about how this car is on a racetrack. Primarily, so I have a Focus, just a base Focus 5-speed hatch that I haven't tracked yet, but it is ready to be tracked. And I'm curious about aerodynamically how this car pushes through the air, because the rear you got a big wing on it, but the rear of this car, it being the hatch, it sort of just doesn't have a nice sloping rear. It's just got a rear end, and then also the center of gravity is sort of high. So have you been able to combat those things? How does it behave on the racetrack?
So right now, ever since race 1, I've been having issues with the ECU on the car. It's still a stock ECU. So I've been down on power. If you start looking at all the videos that I've been into, you can see once the green light goes, everybody on this race just goes, and I'm just a little bit behind, just waiting until the turn comes so I can a little bit outbrake them or out-turn them. So for the time being, I wouldn't say I've been be able to do 100% of what the car capacity is. But to answer your question, I do not see that disadvantage I would normally thought that I was going to have on the straights. Having people with the same horsepower that I'm pulling and on the straights, when the car decides to not misbehave, I'm able to keep up. I'm able to stay side by side and drag all the way down when the car decides, of course. So I don't see much problem with that on the speed wise factor. For that higher center of gravity, my seat is almost to the floor of the car. I have people come look at the car and step into the car and sit down and have the experience of what does a race car look like from the inside. And the first thing they say, holy, this is like I could barely see because you got the dash like right almost into your view, just so you can have a lower center of gravity.
And what does it weigh?
Right now, with all the competition mods and penalties and everything, it's at 3330. It's the minimum weight.
So it's pretty heavy then for a GLTC car.
Yes,
so
and I'm running 240 horsepower. So
gotcha.
it's one with the other. One thing about this car is the engine is you could say flat earth torque engine base. I got whatever I say on the cheat, 240, 230, whatever I say, and it's from the moment I put the pedal to the middle. It's the 240 from 3,000 RPM all the way down to like 7. So that's one of the advantage. So I do understand why normally this type of flat power band gets penalized for.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would have thought that you'd run a little bit lighter, a little bit less power, but I guess if you can make 240 flat, then yeah, take the weight and go for it.
Yeah.
So
that's normally the plan here initially. Was under the 2024 rules. I would have a little bit less penalty. When 2025 came with this sort of rule, I saw that flat didn't have that much advantage anymore.
Like, so Adam, it wasn't for the Focuses.
I'm still gonna run.
It was for the Corvettes, Adam. Yes. No, that's funny. So all right, so you've run a couple races so far. I'm again, my results thing is new here, but I got you at CMP. You were at Road America, and you were also at Road Atlanta. Am I missing anything?
Mid-Ohio, but I couldn't get past qualify. Okay. My front brake caliper seals gave up on qualify, and that means I couldn't brake in time. So I wasn't going to expose anybody else to any crashes or just me trying to get a lap down time, risk the car and crash the car. So I decided to forfeit that race after qualifying.
Gotcha. So what's left on the calendar for you? Because you've had a couple events so far, but are you going to Lime Rock next week? And do you have anything else planned for it?
The car is not ready for Lime Rock. I did buy the registration for it. I was planning to go in there, but the car is just not. It's misbehaving with the ECU again. It's a long drive from Florida to over there, so I think I'm going to skip on that one. Focus on fixing everything, and then hopefully maybe do Chicago and then a pit race.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So tell me about the vision for this car, because it's the first season with it in Eibach GLTC trim. What's like your ultimate plan and vision? Are you almost there already, or is there like a whole bunch you want to do to it? You mentioned it's sort of a budget build right now. But I'm curious, like what the end goal, final boss of this car is.
Yeah. So right now, this is the trial and error kind of thing where we're doing everything budgeted. Still stock ECU. As I told you, the suspension, it's one of the things called over the other springs. Hopefully for next year, by next year, hopefully I can get a standalone ECU. One of the things is this car doesn't have a lot of aftermarket parts, so it's hard to come by and be able to modify it. So I do want to put a standalone ECU on it. And nowadays, what the standalone ECU can give you is way greater than what a factory ECU can give you. Auto blip, rev matching, all that stuff. I want to be able to combine it. And then as far as suspension, I do want to do a full coilover, like nice setup with, big brands, hopefully, and then get the car set up as per GLTC rules that allows me to.
I noticed also you got some pretty big fender flares there on the front. Are you planning on wider track width there at all, or is that?
So right now with what I'm running, I had to put them because my wheels were excessive from the fender, so I had to install them. But I do want to go even wider on the front. I do feel like now that I put the fender flares, I do have a lot more space in there, and then have a mix and match to see how far I can go down on the rear, because right now I've got 275 on the front, 255 on the rear. So I want to go even thinner on the rears, and then a lot more on the front to see how well it goes with the car. Yeah,
I was interested in that to see how much stagger you were running, because I know like Eric Cattell takes advantage of that. I think James Houghton takes advantage of that in their front wheel drive cars. What is there to explore with the transmission and differential in this? I know that can kind of be a magic combination in a front drive car. If you get the right diff, to get the car to rotate, that sort of thing.
Yep. So right now my car has an LSD in it, but there's not much aftermarket parts to be able to swap out gears or final drives on it. The only thing I managed to do with it is put carbon synchros on it, that those are known to fail from time to time. But other than that, I got zero other options right now. I am exploring. I've been reaching out to different vendors and about if they're willing to work with me and create something new for the community and so for myself also. So that's a we'll see if it's something happens to that.
I'm interested also in, because again, we've all got our cars, we've all got the community that we sort of exist in with the same car. What is the Ford Focus ST like wheel to wheel, or how much of there is there a lot of them around that I don't know?
There's more than people think. Brian Tyson and this yellow Civic, right? Before being door to door, he was doing time attack with his own Focus ST. And actually, he's my tuner. He's the one who helped me get the car detuned to the specs of GLTC. So there are a lot of people. There's also people that do hill climb a lot with the Focus ST because it has a lot of torque, so it does help them. And also with the RS, which is the all-wheel drive version of it. There's just a couple of people out there. Are they known or have they reached out to social media and posted their stuff? Not many do, but there's Facebook groups, there's Instagrams, people doing it. So you might see more often, now that I've exposed a little bit more. I do see people asking questions and asking questions now. Okay, so what do you do for GLTC? How do I join? So I've been asking, responding to those questions and trying to get the community back again running. Because in 2017, 2018, when the car was a little bit more popular, you would see those focuses more often at autocross and tracks. It's died down, but I'm trying to research that feeling of let's go out in the Focus. The Focus is actually a good platform to go out and circuit with. And you guys can see, even though I'm down on power, I'm able to finish. I'm able to be consistent more or less with the car.
I don't want to start any internet fights, but like one could argue that you and Eric Catil are some of the only people that actually have touring cars because you've got 4 doors on your car, right? So there's that path to go down also. I'm not going to get into that, but I think it is kind of cool to see these cars. I've always thought they're neat. I've always been interested in owning an ST. Again, because I kind of enjoy it. Even just the base 5-speed, they're kind of cool cars. But certainly in race car form, I've seen less of them than I would like. What's been the biggest challenge? I mean, you mentioned the ECU kind of being stock and that sort of thing and managing things, but what's been the biggest challenge in building this car for this?
The biggest challenge is actually the ECU, because suspension wise, I don't feel the car in the suspension area is far behind from everybody else, even though it's a budget build. When I take turns and make sure the people in front of me, they are not gapping me throughout the turns or breaking points. They're actually gapping me on the straights. So suspension wise, it's been a blast. The only thing I've been having issues with the car throughout this season has been the ECU, trying to get it to be reliable and not give up on me while I'm doing the carousel at Royal Atlanta, and at the end of the carousel it goes into fuel struggle mode and fuel pump cannot connect with the fuel pump driver and stuff like that. It's very weird.
Gotcha. Yeah, I imagine also just the aftermarket support too would be tricky depending on what you're looking for. So fascinating. Well, all right, so you mentioned trying to make a couple more events for this year. What's been your favorite track that you've raced it on so far?
Royal Atlanta in the rain. I loved it in the rain. The fact that and I'm not bragging or anything, guys. Don't hate me for this, but at the last turn and the first turn, I would feel that I was faster than the people in the group that I was racing with, and I would pick up everybody else on those 2 turns. Going full out on it. Of course, because I was having ECU issues, everybody at the straights again would go bye-bye. But for me, that was one of the and the downhill on the S's of Royal Atlanta. Royal Atlanta.
Yep, gotcha. Dewey in the chat says standalone will help for sure. So
yes,
team standalone ECU, but again, probably not in the budget for the time being. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Chris DeLucia, and the same question I'm asking everybody on this show, because I think it's worth it using this platform Your experience at GridLife so far, what's something that GridLife does really, really well, and what's something that you'd like to see?
Okay, so let's start with the good things. Really, really, really well is the mentor system you guys have for new drivers, for door-to-door drivers. Each single race that I've been to, I've been assigned a mentor who's reached out back to me like, "Hey, do you need anything? Hey, do you have questions?" On Road America, I had Ryan, who had an unfortunate event, right, in the CRX. Come by a couple of times through the pits and just ask me, okay, so what's your strategy? And I didn't have a strategy. I just have a bucket list of things I needed to get done. And he said, okay, no, let's rewind. Let's get a strategy going. So you're about to go to qualify, do a 2 or 3 laps, see how the car feels, come back inside. You might still have more time, adjust your pressures and then go back out. Like that's something I didn't have in mind at that point because I was just so busy trying to get into rhythm of fixing everything before the race starts. So having a mentor, take your focus away for a second and tell you like, hey, this is the mindset you need to have. Does help a lot. It's something I'm really grateful for. Every single mentor has been good for me. So that's one of the biggest things for GLTC and GridLife as per se. Only thing bad, and I wouldn't say it's bad. It's because it's known that having a BOP, a balance of power, and it's really hard. We tend to see almost the winning formulas on the front, and then everybody that deviates from that formula gets stuck either in the mid pack or on the final group or stuff like that. I would like to see the formula be centered around those people that are in the mid pack on the rear. That do not have any issues like myself.
I think an interesting point you bring up about this is you mentioned the flat power thing. How it impacted your build a lot. Again, it's like one of those things like the flat power thing was not targeted at Ford Focus STs, right? No. So that again, it's the idea, the intention is that like you have rules that are targeted at a large group of cars that will balance everybody equally, right? But it doesn't always mean that the application of said rule always means that every car, is going to get balanced properly. So that's a great bit of feedback. And I guess, turbo, we don't see a lot of turbocharging in GLTC. It used to be penalized a little bit. I don't think there's been a balance or modifier for it anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah. So you don't take a percentage for a turbocharger, and you probably shouldn't, because if you're turboing, you're probably going past what you could make. You're detuning, you're getting a flat curve anyway. So that's just an interesting point. But yeah, so all good. Brian, it was a pleasure to have you on. Your car's super cool. I can't wait to get back out there. And again, we won't see you at Lime Rock, but we'll be missing a spot in our paddock for you at the next one. So
yes, sir.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. All right, Brian Santiago from Eibach GLTC and a Ford Focus ST. What a cool build. Interesting build. It's an interesting strategy, but like, hey, build the car you want to build. That's what GLTC is all about. Austin Hurdle's here. Mario's here. Mario had a question that I would like to specifically talk about. So Mario, if you're still hanging out in the chat here, you said, Kyle, any plans of using the same format for the overall results since GridLife's inception? I would like to ask you specifically what you mean about that, because I'm down to build whatever you guys want to build. I don't know exactly what you mean for the overall results since GridLife's inception. Now, I think you mean this thing. This takes Track Battle all the way back to 2018, and you've got most everything in here. I can go back further. I think I stopped because the sheet started getting the format started getting wonky, so it started to get harder to parse through them. I know I'm missing a couple events. I know GLTC specifically, I only go back to like 2023. And a lot of them, like I did finally do Lime Rock Park for 2024. I split these in A and B. That was a real thing, but I did do it. So I'm curious what you mean specifically about all-time results, like getting every event forever in there. Is that's the goal. I hope to get there. But again, this has been an active work in progress. Last couple of days, I pushed some updates to better handle time attack. Like we ran into this thing with Ryan Matthews, where if you ran podium sprint and 2 different classes, it would only take whatever lap you ran first. put it in here, even though it was properly in the sheets. So just like little weird things like that. Dewey, I think I fixed your winner image was wrong. You still had the old like picture, but I got you with the flag now. Can't prove it. This only pulls this and not your celebratory. But did Mario leave already? I was hoping he have our chat about what he wanted, but that's all right. I told him, I said stick around to the end. But got Circuit Legends next week. Have a look. You can get your tickets now if you haven't already. Austin's 5 head, says Eric Dewey. Yes, Austin. Thanks, buddy. Again, it's not done. We're actively building it. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to learn what the community needs and how they're going to read it and how they're going to use it. And what I've already learned is like the way that we're showing final results for Time Attack isn't quite as fulfilling as it needs to be. And then on the GLTC side, like the points should all be in here too. I don't exactly know how I want the interface to feel yet, but the points on the website I think are like fine. Like right now, if you go to example, you hit point standings, like this is cool and works, and this will probably still exist. But I think if we're gonna have a results page, it probably should have the point wrapped up in it. You're doing God's work. I'm just doing work. Like it. I was trying to figure out for a long time, Dewey, like what exactly is my purpose role, and I think smoothing out the driver process and making feel a little bit more upscale to kind of match where the series is going, where GridLife is going, to really present motorsports at a high level. I was tired of showing results on a spreadsheet. So at least here, all I did was like make a spreadsheet look a little nicer, and then here, all I did was download spreadsheets, show them differently. So, all right. How does one coordinate a drift ride along at Lime Rock? Anthony, I can't specifically give you information on that. A lot of drivers do ride-alongs. Sometimes ride-alongs are given. If you're looking for Hyundai specifically, they've got their own ride-along program that you can do by their truck in their paddock. So that's a good place to start. But just be down in the paddock. I would start with the Hyundai thing. Start there, meet some drivers, and get a ride here. Mario's back. I remember there was a list of fastest overall times from all the different tracks from like. So I think you're thinking, let's do this together. I'm lost. Go to track. Go to results and records page that we were. Now might be thinking of. I know what you're talking about. Here we go. Over this overall track records, like of all time. I don't think this has really been updated in a while. This is just on the web. Hi, Mario. So if you mean this, yeah. So I guess the answer is yes. We could absolutely do that. The question would be like, how do we want this? It's like a logic thing, right? Like, when you first go to this, you're presented with a series in a year. So if I wanted to pick, Rush from 2025, then you're presented with the tracks that we went. Then pick one, right? But when you start bringing in like overall track records, like you need to start thinking, all right, well, I don't want to necessarily have to select a series, or maybe I do. Maybe it's a track battle, then you pick the track, and then it's the year, and then when you pick the track, you can pick. I don't know, maybe when you pick the track, it brings up like a track profile page and has a record. Like we could certainly condense it all down. But if your idea is basically just take this page and spit out all the fastest laps that have ever been run there, absolutely. The other thing I'd like to do is like, this is its own app. It doesn't need to be, like this can be embedded on the website too. You can obviously get to it pretty easily from the website and just join. Go to Motorsports event results, and then but what I'd like to do is maybe event results, and then it's like baked into the website itself. Autobahn schedule out. Austin, all the schedules are out. Actually go off screen. I don't want to. Please do not take this as gospel. Again, I know that they've already schedules for the year are out. But they've been kind of getting shuffled a little bit, so I wouldn't take this as gospel. Are you specifically looking for like a load-in time? I know you're an Indiana boy, so you're far away. still provisional. We can just sort it out by year track and see exactly all the. Okay, yeah. Let me think about that. I want to make the interface. So, sorry, Austin. Back to this. The other thing is I've got this competitor page, and again, I don't know what purpose is other than, but I wanted to make like an interface like this, where I click the series, maybe you could click the tracks, and it would have like the track outlines and stuff, and you could like click in and get data for the track. There's a bunch of different ways to in the cat there or whatever. Let me think about the way I want, like logically. Okay, going back to the schedule for Autobahn, I know this to Austin. Looking for our 8:30 start on Friday. I bet you're wondering if you can roll it Friday morning. Probably what you're wondering. But wasn't showing Friday. Oh, I don't know why that would be the case. It's all here. It looks like a very typical schedule. There is a podium sprint. So good, Mario. So yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. I'll look in tomorrow why that isn't going. Or it should be a very standard life event. Okay, what do you guys think? Good show. Happy with that? We talked to Chris DeLucia from GRIDLIFE GT. He's gonna be back at Lime Rock with a rebuilt series after a crash a couple months ago with a car that he dug out of the woods, blew the back end on. We talked to Brian Santiago, who had his Focus ST. I don't think you were doing it wrong, Austin. I clicked into that from somewhere else. What you probably did was you probably went $10. Probably went Mets, Chicagoland. Not get tickets. Down here, there's cabs. Cabs look different on, but it's all here. That's publicly accessible. I don't know how it looks on mobile, but it should be the same as everything. That should do it, everybody. Again, next week, we're going to have Lena Chin on next week as one of our guests, and she'll be in GRIDLIFE Car Club. So we're going to be back on location. No Laguna lineup yet, Mario. We're going to be back on location in the GRIDLIFE Car Club next week, right before we head to Lime Rock. I'll be headed there the next good stuff. One stoked. Apollo's stoked. Assuming Thursday test day is closed for. Yeah, usually spectator gates. On that. When the gates for an event like Autobahn, the gates for spectators should be roughly the same as the. We're still a little ways out for that, so check back in a couple of weeks. So we're gonna head out, guys. I'm gonna go eat dinner right out of work, right onto a stream. So dinner time. You guys have any questions? Of course, the GRIDLIFE Discord channel. Don't have the. Well, you guys should all have the Discord. You guys can share the links. There's general chat, which is great for general discussion, but if you guys have any specific ideas for me, we could drop it in the broadcast ideas chat. I might rename that to just Kyle Projects, Kyle GRIDLIFE Projects, and we'll. I'm gonna get back to work on the result. I've been working real hard on the fire lap stuff again, trying to get that sorted out. A lot of work on the broadcast. There's some other cool stuff we're doing. Oh, actually, you know what? Here, let's show you guys this. This is cool. This is the last people that stick around. Here, we're gonna show you something real cool that no one else has seen yet, because I can. And all right, hold on. Okay. So, those of you that have been in the Discord, you'll know that we were working on a graphic for. Okay, yeah. We were working on a graphic for showing classes, class information, like a class overview. The data in this graphic is very temporary. Please withhold your comments about XYZ. But we now have a graphic that will show overview of a category present, and see it loads. But it actually loads the class record. And it loads representative cars, of which I have hand selected a couple that I have nice photos of. And it will show you allowed mods, power, tire information, and description. I know that I do have a So basically, the idea is before podium sprint, right as sessions begin, we can sort of highlight a particular class and show representative cars. And everyone's going to be super mad that their car isn't the one that I be the representative cars. Sorry, but these are like the little things that we're adding to the broadcast to help kind of sell the story a little. Right, here's Club TR, because I know there's some Club TR Mario's in there. Evan gets in there because he's got the record. Tomo's here. Tomo, we're showing cool things. The class overviews that were added. Oh god, the cat is driving me nuts. We're almost wrapped. I was supposed to be signed off by now. The cat is in the way of my. Club SC I have in here too. Representative cars. So, canceling on Twitter for not using my car. I thought about it, Jamie. So again, I really should just do this some other way. So like, randomly pick some, so that way everyone. But the idea here is, I just picked 3 cars that were different enough. So like Track Mod has a rear-wheel drive 7, Jackie's M2, Civic, just because it's like different enough that a little bit of represent. Hi, Paulo. Other things, let's see. I don't think there's too much new here. The only other thing is fire lap stuff. I made a couple minor changes to this because I was struggling to get the data to show properly. So what this does now is this shows the most recent lap, or it pulls the most recent session. So it's always like the current session that's happening. But I can pick an individual lap. So if you look in the header where it says lap 1, I can change it to lap 2, and it'll actually get different data and reorder. So you can specifically choose a lap, or you can look at the most. Pretty nifty. And for drivers that are not GLGT, I can click a button and actually open up the apps to cars that are not just GLGT. Pretty dope. Get reshuffle here. I've also fixed the driver names data in. So Jamie says, you thought and said no? I was trying to pick representative cars and Street Mod specific. Picked a Supra, I picked AMG, and I really should pick a front drive car for the. What class are they driving in? Oh, LZ. Talking about Adam LZ. I don't know anything about Driftland. I wish I did. I'm not well prepped to speak about Drift, so I'm sorry. Don't know. I do know that when we're ready to announce it, you will see it on the GridLife official. So, front wheel drive is boring. All right, well, I think that's it, guys. That was. We really just wanted to chat with Chris DeLucia tonight, and also Brian Santiago, because Ford Focus STs should be better subscribed. They're really cool. Big fan of Brian's car, and hope to find some speed. But this cat's driving me nuts. I got to eat dinner, guys. This cat's driving me nuts. I got to feed him, too. We're going to head out. Everyone have a great night. We'll see you next week. We got Lena Chin coming to visit us in Car Club Chicago next week. We'll be on location at the GridLife offices, and we'll have some more to talk about then right before we time rock. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a lovely night.